So now we'll talk about the unit and status bar settings. So I'll start my drawing with one of the basic templates. So I'll just click on this drop down right here and I'll select AutoCad.dwt template. Alternatively, you can also click on this new option right here on the quick access toolbar and select AutoCad.dwt to start your drawing. So they're exactly the same. Let's just start it from here. So I'll go to this drop down and I'll select AutoCad.dwt and our drawing will start. Now I've started my drawing using a ready-made template. We'll talk about creating these templates in the next video, but for now let's make some settings and I'll start with unit related settings. So I've started this drawing and currently I don't know anything about the unit or the precision or anything like that. So to access the unit window, I'll type UN on the command line and I'll press enter. Now this will open drawing unit window or palette. Now we can make all unit related settings right here. Now if you don't want to use this command, then you can also go to this application button, then drawing utilities, and then from here you can select units to start the unit window. Now here we have three main panels. So we have length panel, we have angle panel, and we have insertion scale panel. Let's start with length panel. So in the length panel, we have format of unit, and these are all the format of unit that we have. So you can select architectural format if you want to make your drawing in imperial units like feet and inches, and you can select the decimal format if you are making your drawing in the decimal format like millimeters and meters. In this case, I'll select decimal format. Now the precision is number of decimal places which will be displayed in your drawing area. So you can select from any of these. I'll select 2 decimal places for now. Okay, that's the length format. We have other formats also like engineering, fractional, and scientific that you can select if you are using these formats for the drawing. Then the next is angle. Now here we have decimal degrees, degree minute second as the 2 most frequently used angle formats, but you can select grades, radians, and surveyor units as well if these are the formats that you prefer to use. I'll select this decimal degrees. Now the precision is again the precision for angle. So in this case, I'll select only 1 decimal place as the precision. So now angles will have a precision of just 1 decimal place. We have this clockwise checkbox. Well, basically in AutoCAD, all the directions are anti-clockwise, and anti-clockwise is generally taken as a positive direction. So if you want to reverse it, if you want to make clockwise as the positive direction, check this box. But this will reverse the defaults, so don't do that. I'll recommend against checking this, so just leave the defaults right here. Now here is the most important thing, and that's the actual scale of your drawing. So currently the scale is inches or the unit is inches. Change it to whatever unit you want. So there is a big list of unit, and you can even select unitless if you don't want to specify any unit. But since I've selected decimal here, I'll select millimeter for this. Now if you would have selected architectural here in the length format, then you can select inches here as the unit, but that again depends on you. For this one, I'll select millimeters here, and now you can see the sample output. So the length will look like this, 1.50. so we have 2 decimal places because we have selected 2 as the precision, and the angle will look like this, 45.0. so where 45.0 is the angle, because we have a precision of 1 decimal place after this dot, we have just 1 decimal place, 45.0. So this is just the sample output. We have lighting unit, which is related to AutoCAD 3D, so we'll leave the defaults here, and with that I'll click OK, and we have our unit setting. So units are now set. Okay, let's move on and let's talk now about the status bar options. So here is the status bar, and there are a lot of tools and icons on the status bar. We'll actually talk about these status bar tools later on in this course, but before we begin anything, we need to make some changes on these status bar options. The very first is this grid. Now this thing is background grid, so this graph paper kind of thing. You can keep it active or deactivate it, it hardly matters for this case. And to activate it, well, select this, and deactivate just by unchecking this. So in this case, I'll leave it deactivated, and you can also keep it deactivated for now. Then we have the next option, which is snap mode. Don't activate it. If you activate it, it will create errors in your drawing. So just deactivate this snap mode if it is active. Now the next option is this. Now this is called dynamic input mode. Now if you activate your dynamic input and then if you select any command, there will be this kind of thing right next to your cursor. So you'll see this thing right next to your cursor when you activate dynamic input. And if you deactivate it, I'll deactivate it and then I'll select the line command again. Well, you won't see anything next to your cursor. So once again, I'll recommend that you deactivate this dynamic input mode. So leave it deactivated. And if you don't see this dynamic input on your status bar, then go to this customization icon, which looks like this 3- line, and select dynamic input. So this should be checked. Actually, all of these icons which are checked are now visible here on the status bar. For now, just check this dynamic input, then it will be visible here, and then deactivate it. The next option is the ortho mode and the polar tracking. In this case, just keep this polar tracking on, and here also if you click this arrow right next to this polar tracking, you'll see list of angles. Just make sure 90 is selected. Okay, and finally we'll go to this thing. This is called object snap. It looks like a square with another square on the top left corner. So that's object snap. Make sure it is active. Also click this arrow which is right next to this object snap and activate these points. So select endpoint, then midpoint and center. If midpoint is not selected, just select it so that this check mark is visible. Then deactivate geometric center, and if you are using older versions of AutoCAD, you won't see geometric center. And also deactivate extension and tangent for now. So only keep these 4 points active: endpoint, midpoint, center and intersection. We'll talk again about this tool later on in this course, but for now it's important that you keep only 4 of these active, and with that all the others should be deactivated. So if you see anything else active, just click on it to deactivate it. So finally we have just these 3 options active: polar tracking, object snap tracking and object snap. So now we are done making all these settings. In the next video we'll talk about saving these settings as a template.